story of two people who fell in love and are still married 60 years later. It's a story of love, a story of a lot of kids, 9 to be exact. This is a story of Roger Sprangers and Vanice Sprangers and how they met, they fell in love, and they created a beautiful life together. A life that all of their children, including myself, are extremely thankful to have had a part of. Every marriage has a story. Every life has a story. This is theirs.
The happiest moment of my life is when I met my wife, Vanice. The minute I met her and we went out a few times, I knew that we were destined to be together for life. And we still are.
First I would say our wedding, and then I would say the birth of each child.
We had a fall festival at our parish, and Father Beyer was our priest, and Father Beyer was the priest at Leopolis before he came to Darboy, and he knew Vanice from the church in Leopolis. So we were at a spring festival. As it turned out, a girl that went to school with me, Lorraine Yuckman, worked at Casey, and then she had Vanice come with her home for the weekend, and brought her down to the spring festival. So when they were there, then Father Beyer knew Vanice, and then he said, "Roger, I got to have you meet somebody," and he introduced us. Lorraine's sister, May Rose, older sister, was getting married, and she was getting married at was in Allentown, to who were going to be our future neighbors after we built our house. But anyway, I went to that wedding, and then Vanice was there, and I took her home. And that was our first time we danced and met and that. And then their younger sister had her comb and her hanky in my pocket. I had to give it back to her when I took Vanice home. Oh, ironic as it was.
So what did you think of Mom when you first met her?
It's hard to talk about it, but I would say if you would meet an angel, that was Vanice. She was so perfect. So perfect. Never a harsh word to anybody. Except when I'd come over work, she said, you got to beat this one, you got to beat that one. Yeah, she was the best. She was the best. She'd come to my ball games, and she would be her friend Maggie would drive her over there, and she never had a car, and then they'd watch the game, and then she was my best cheerleader. She worked at Kimberly Clark, and I worked down in the flats in Appleton. And I had a little motor on an aluminum boat I won in a conservation raffle. I won a 12-foot aluminum boat, and I bought a 7.5 horse Mercury motor, an old one, and I built a boat trailer. We didn't always get home with it, but it'd fall apart once in a while. I wasn't the best welder in those days. But a lot of our days I'd pick her up after work at Kimberly Clark, and I'd take her to her apartment. Was only about 5 blocks from, and she would walk to work and walk back. I'd pick her up right at Kimberly Clark where she worked, take her to her apartment, she'd change clothes, come out, and then we weren't allowed into her apartments because they had 5 different girls staying, or 3 girls staying up there. And their landlord, they lived there too, and they didn't want any boyfriends to be in there. So anyway, I'd pick her up and we'd go fishing, and so we'd get on at like 4 o'clock. We'd head for Poigan or Winnebago, and we'd fish till dark, and then we'd come home, and that's how we spent our time. I mean, nice it was. I mean, we both loved to fish. She loves to fish to this day. It's
Like, what were dates like?
Fishing. Picking up at Kimberly Clark with the boat, and we would fish on Boygan a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes on Lake Winnebago, but a lot on Boygan, because I lived in Nina's.
Mm-hmm.
You could use a big long cane pole. I remember that. You can't use them now, or we don't have them anymore.
I think.
So you just held it out behind the boat. Easy fishing. You brought the Sunday paper along to read.
So who's a better fisherman?
Probably your dad.
Oh, I don't know about that.
At that time, Dad was a better fisherman. Now, I don't know. I have more patience now.
Vanice and I went fishing one day, and we went on the river, and we never had to use an anchor. We went on the Wolf River, up by New London or Stevensville, and we were in the boat, and we were going down the river, up the river. I had no motor, so I go up the river. You can always coast down and get shore with the horse. And then when I got where I wanted to fish, I told Vanice to throw the anchor in, and she said something to me, and I couldn't hear. The motor was whining, and I was sitting in the back of the boat running it. And she said something again, and I said, just throw in the anchor, kind of loud. So she threw it in, and then naturally, all of a sudden we were drifting down the river. I said, well, how come the anchor isn't holding? She said, well, it wasn't tied onto the rope. I said, why didn't you tell me? She says, I tried to twice, and you said, shut up and throw it in, so I threw it in. That was my new anchor. I paid $4 and some cents for that anchor.
Or we would, maybe 4 or 5 movies, that was all.
Do you remember some of the movies that you saw with him?
Around the World in 80 Days. And I don't know if we were married then or not. That's one of the only memories I have. And the one where the flying saucer came down. I don't remember the name of it, that one. Probably 2 movies. But you would go to the bar. At that time, Ted Benfield had a bar up on the corner of 114 and 10 or somewhere that way. You would just go to the bar and see the people that you knew. Yes, it was either Valentine's Day or my birthday. I think it was in between. And he came to the apartment in Nina. And he came upstairs. Yeah.
It was her birthday was on February 18th, and on February 14th is Valentine's Day. So on February 14th, I just got her some little thing. And then on her birthday was on the 18th, so on the 16th I went over and said, you know, I'm gonna get you something for you, better for Valentine's Day and for your birthday. Stop it.
It's okay. That's okay.
And then I gave her an engagement ring.
Where were you guys?
At her apartment, and I just went to the door to get her, and then before we walked out to the car, then I reached in my pocket, opened the hard carved engagement ring. Sure, she didn't have to say yes. I knew she would.
Well, she said yes. Good thing. 9 of us are pretty dependent on that yes.
Yeah, that was good. We were so in love. We were so in love. And when you're really in love with somebody, you miss them all the time. You know, when you aren't seeing them, before you're married, you miss them. All day long you're thinking about them. But can't wait till I see her tonight, you know. We'd go down by the lake. I had a friend that had a cottage on the lake, and we'd go down on the lake, and then we'd walk on this pier. We'd just sit there, the waves coming in, and talk for hours. She wanted 12 kids, and I said that's kind of many, because I was one of 12. So we ended up with 9. We did pretty good.
Right. Tell me about your wedding.
Very simple, in Leopolis.
Oh, I didn't know you got married in Leopolis.
Dad was late. He had to go get a haircut. That I remember, and he also had to pick up the flowers in Shawano, so he was really late, but we had a wedding. And then we had a dinner at Gresham and a supper at Panoples.
So Vanice and Roger got married, and just like in the fairy tales, they lived happily ever after. Were there some problems? Of course there were problems, but they worked through them. They had 9 children, lots of grandchildren, and now, in thanks and in gratitude, those 9 children have a few things they'd like to share with their mom and dad. First of all, here's the oldest son, Kenny, with a song.
Look at us, after all these years together. Look at us, after all that we've been through. Look at us, still leaning on each other. If you want to see how true just look at us. Look at you, still pretty as a picture. Look at me, I'm still crazy over you. Look at us, still believing in each other. If you want to see how true love should be, then just look at us. In 100 years from now, I know without a doubt, they'll all look back and wonder how we made it all work out. The chances are that we'll go down in history. If you want to see how true love should be, then just look at us. If you want to see how true love should be, then just look at us. Some of my favorite memories. We played anywhere in the neighborhood, and if the horn honked 3 times, it was time to come home for supper. So we all went home for supper. I loved it when Mom made chocolate chip cookies and froze them and put them in the garage freezer, because when she'd look for them a week later, they'd all be gone because we snuck them all and ate them all, and the bag just slowly got smaller. We just never thought she'd realize one missing, but eventually the whole bag was gone.
Hi there. See if I can get through this without crying. Lord knows when I thought through my answers it didn't go very well, so hopefully this goes a little better. Some of my favorite stories and memories of Mom and Dad. Can remember being a little kid, hundreds of times smashed with Mom and Dad's red pickup truck, the Jeep, heading to and from the cottage. Dad singing and occasionally patting me on the leg, Mom reading her books. Stopping for a piece of pizza at Bondwell, maybe some ice cream to boot. Dad always let me get the large volcano cone, even though I think he knew there was no chance I'd ever finish it. I think part of me now realizes he was counting on that.
Well, I'm going to start with being 11 maybe when Dad took me squirrel hunting the first time up by Grandpa Shervany. Took me out in the woods, showed me which trees the squirrels were running up by the way the bark was peeled, told me all this stuff. So we sit down each on one side of a tree. His squirrels are on that side, mine are on this side. Well, 20 minutes later, there's squirrels are running all over on Dad's side, and I keep peeking around the tree looking for them. Well, pretty soon one sees me peeking and comes running right up. He's all of about 10 feet away from us, and Dad's big feet are out there. So I can't believe he hasn't grabbed the gun and shot one yet. It's between us. So I grab the gun and I aim at that squirrel. I shoot. Dad hollers. Squirrel runs away. Well, lucky I didn't shoot him in the foot. But yeah, he was sleeping. He had squirrels running all over. I didn't have any on my side. I was too busy watching them on his side. What could I say? I had to try to shoot one. That's my growing up with Dad teaching me how to hunt story. Sleepy Raj. Okay.
Every Christmas Eve, Dad would wake me up when they got back from Annabelle's because they went to Wet Your Whistle. And we'd play all the games, and then we'd go to bed late at night. So I had played all the games in the morning when all the other kids got up. Me and him had played everything, especially Atari. When we got Atari, the first Atari game, beep, 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 beep. Me and him sat up for hours playing it.
When I think about favorite memories that I have as a child, I have so many of them, but a lot of them have to do with the cabin. Like, I loved when we bought the cabin and we spent all that time up there. My favorite thing to do, besides having giant campfires, was to go on white Jeep rides, because Dad would drive and he would drive us through these gigantic mud puddles, and I feel like sometimes when we came home, the only white part left of our skin was this part of our eyes, and everything else was just drenched and covered in mud, and we would laugh and laugh so loud. And those were by far my favorite childhood memories. I also remember ice fishing, and I also remember feeling like I was just an additional 3 tip-ups and freezing my butt off, and having a lot of soda slushes with the snow from the top of Lake Winnebago, which now that I think about it is pretty gross, but that's what we would do. I have a lot of good memories of fishing and taking walks and hikes at the cabin. Now that I'm a parent, I know that Mom and Dad were just trying to wear us out after feeding us tons of candy. I also remember candy trips at the cabin. We'd go to the dime store and we would just buy bags of candy with our allowance and eat all the candy, which was wonderful. I remember swimming off the raft for hours and hours and going to Atanga. Those were, again, definitely some of my favorite memories of all time. I know that one of Dad's favorite stories was when I was a teenager and they made me go to the cabin, and I cried the whole entire way up there in protest. But, you know, I don't know. I think most teenagers are semi-rotten. I was just a little bit more rotten than most maybe at that age. But I really did love the cabin, and I love going up there now with the kids and with Mom and Dad and spending all that time playing cards and just hanging out by the campfire. Those are still definitely my favorite times of the year, is when we get to go to the cabin and spend time with you guys.
I liked when Dad went deer hunting, we only had one car, so Mom got the car all week. So the whole week we'd go rummaging. Goodwill, St. Vincent de Paul, bought all cheap used toys. We'd just have piles of stuff. When Dad got back from deer hunting, it was a blast. Being Dad's bat boy for Appleton Machine Company. Oh, that was fun. Getting the bats, and every once in a while Dad would do that, oh! And he'd pitch the ball right over the backstop into the thing, and I had to go get it out on the people because it would stick to his hand when he was doing his whip around left-handed pitching. I was growing up in the country. Oh, what fun. Growing up in the country, I was born #1. I was first one of 9. Oh, how great.
So we're supposed to have these fond memories, and there's a million memories, and I'm not sure how to pick one out, but, well, probably one of the funniest ones when I think of it is the day the cop brought me home. We're on the front porch, Mom comes out. What did Kenny do now? That's my mom. One moment I'll never forget is when I left for school. We had a nice little hug on the front porch. That was cool, very cool.
When I played in the band for all those years, Dad and Mom would be at a wedding, and Dad would take Mom out and do his polka, and I'd drag the song out on purpose till he couldn't go anymore. You could tell he was getting tired, and I'd look at Dad, keep it going. See, I was exercising in cardio years ago before he ever knew it. Probably why he's living so long.
Other favorite memories I have a lot of memories of working in the garden, a lot of memories across the street in Spider's Woods, playing kick the can as a kid, playing in the creek in the backyard, all our different animals, Duke and Lobo and Drifter, and all the cats that Mom helped me smuggle in my bedroom and let live underneath my dresser, even though Dad didn't know, or at least he pretended not to know.
I remember when I was a sophomore, I just told the story to Chrissy. I was in the kitchen eating something, and Mom was in the living room talking to Aunt Carol on the telephone. And I heard her tell Aunt Carol, yeah, I will be golfing next summer in Golf League. And I I came in there and I said, "You're not golfing? You love golfing. You're pregnant." And she said, "Oh, don't tell anybody." Didn't take much to figure that out while I was giving up golfing.
Hi there. Hello, Mom and Dad. It's your flashback to 1979 moment. So, I, Keith, am about to leave the old nest, head off to drafting school, and set out on my own, so. Well, here's the deal. I'm now 18. Dog will be 8 next month. Chrissy's 3. It's about time you two found a new hobby. Anyways, Mom, thanks for the haircut. If you think about it this way, if you had another baby, it'd probably be a boy. You'd probably move to California and wear dresses, so enough's enough. Anyways, take care.
Ice fishing as a family, playing cards in the ice shacks that Dad built, especially that aluminum gym that used to sit on the back of Dad's red pickup from the time the ice was thick enough until the time it thawed. Not. Boy, did I love getting taken to school and basketball practice in that bad boy. I think everyone loves when spring comes around knowing that winter is over, but nobody loved it as much as Chris and I because we knew that that shack was getting off the back of Dad's truck. Playing games in general as a family. I think growing up, I thought all families played games as much as we do. I now know that is not the case, and I look forward to seeing Mom and Dad or family members of this day just because I know we're going to play games.
A lot of fun. I mean, obviously when you got that many kids in the family, we always played ball, played football, did everything. We didn't have to go searching very far for enough people to play, so we did. I remember Grandma being pretty particular about her living room with having all those kids in there. It's all her knickknacks. And I remember she wasn't afraid to hit kids.
Grandma Germany?
Grandma Germany, yeah,
Oh,
you were
really?
goofing around in the barn. She'd come and kick you right in the ass. All the ice fishing we did when I was younger. We used to go whether we wanted to or not. It was part of the program. But we beat Megan Wood, so that was always a lot of fun. Tom said he set his tip up so hard that Jaws couldn't trip him one day because it was cold and windy and we sat in the shack shivering. I had to go home. But they were a lot of fun playing football with all the brothers. And
I remember feeding rabbits every night, butchering 30 rabbits in the backyard, but I never remember having rabbit for supper. So I don't know how that worked out, but that's the way it was. I remember sitting at the picnic table and Mom bringing out roasters and roasters of beans, and we had to snip them all. And me and all the brothers sitting there, really? More beans, yellow and green beans, snipping all the ends off. It seemed like it just...
This is the story of Dad after a Saturday night garbage run with Dick Belangi. They would get together with Linky Verstegen, watch the Packer game at the house. Well, when Dick and Linky would leave, Dad would be pretty snookered. Packers usually lost, bad mood. It'd be time for haircuts. So in the bathroom, one at a time, send us out. Rings on our head, bald spots on our head. Go show your mom. Go show your mom. Mom would go, oh, that's... And Dad would be laughing and laughing. I don't remember whoever finished the cuts, but I can still remember Dad laughing and laughing and laughing at giving us haircuts. I'm still traumatized, just so you know. Right. Okay, bye. Love yous.
Dad coming home from bowling at 12:30, 1 o'clock, and making eggs in the morning and dancing with everybody in the kitchen. That was when my dad was at the funniest stage, when he'd come home half in the bag. And I know that doesn't sound, but it's not really a bad thing. And he'd make us all breakfast and dance and sing at the kitchen table. And even when I was a freshman or sophomore, I had Tim Helms and Kathy Lohagen over, and he made one of his homemade pizzas just to show Tim how good it could be early in the morning. And picking up me and Trina at the Viking Theater after bowling, and he was racing cars with the red station wagon down College Avenue, so we'd go to Frank and Pat's and get a pizza. Playing guitar at the kitchen table for Ma for hours upon hours while she was cooking or doing whatever. And I remember one day Mom made homemade donuts and used the turkey baster to put jelly in them. And I don't know if Pa even got one when he got home. That's how many we ate. Roller skating around the basement. When we went on our class trip in 7th grade, I was the best roller skater in the whole class because I roller skated around that basement so damn many times with my roller skates, and I won the race. And
I have a lot of favorite memories, just playing and messing around in the backyard, at the orchard, on the big mud hills before we actually planted the trees. Lots of good memories. I feel very grateful for the childhood that I had. I also know that my brothers and sisters are going to want me to remember, and I do, being incredibly spoiled as a child. I do remember my first trip to the dentist. I had 13 cavities, and Mom said that's because all my older brothers and sisters would share their soda and their candy with me. And so I guess that was just the start of spoiled gets her way, Chris. And you know, some things don't change. I still like to get my way. Let's
Probably my saddest memory with Mom and Dad was saying goodbye to them after I graduated college and moved to Illinois. You know, I'd been going to school for 4 years in Milwaukee before that, so didn't really feel like this was going to be that different, but it absolutely was. I think I sobbed all the way to Milwaukee. I probably should not have been driving 70 miles an hour down the highway, but thankfully for those last 2 hours between Milwaukee and Naperville, it was just, you know, some light sobbing.
there's Ken, Keith, Tom, and Dennis, and Diane, and Linda too. Chrissy was a surprise. Doug and Ryan too. Did I say Doug?
I have thought of another one for Mom. This was one of our childhood things that I'm sure Kenny and Keith and Dennis probably will remember, but that was Mom's favorite lamp. Sat in the living room anytime we were horsing around, which we always were. It was "Don't You Break That Lamp." It meant so much to Mom. Well, they went on their annual Clam Lake for a week. Diane Verstegen for the babysitter, yes. Well, we managed to break that lamp. I don't know if it was the first day or the second day, but we spent the rest of the week gluing that lamp back together. And we found every piece but one little piece. So we hid that in the back, and Mom, it took probably 4 years to realize that lamp had gotten busted and was completely glued together. I'll never forget that. I'm sure Kenny and Keith can remember.
I remember clipping beans all day long. I remember making up all these corny songs, just singing in the basement while I was watching TV. My best birthday present when I turned 12, all I got was a letter Dad telling me I could shoot as 22. And I bugged him for a week. When can I shoot the 22? But it was one of my favorite birthday presents. I still remember it to this day.
About her. My love for the garden I got from Mom and from Dad. I have so many good memories that I feel really lucky. Like all that time at the cabin, playing bocce ball and playing cards and playing Scrabble.
Oh yes. Me and Mom were on the pier at the cottage. Only me and Keith got to go that year. I must have been in probably 2nd grade. Neither one of us knew how to swim. And we're on the dock, and Mom casted her Zebco 33 out, and I said, "You think that's a cast? Watch this one." And I threw it out and flipped right over the pier and fell in the water. And Keith was in the bay window at Uncle Ron's cottage, and Keith told Dad, who was reading the paper on the couch, "Ken just fell in the lake." And Dad goes, "You're kidding." Keith goes, "No." And Dad proceeded to run out of the cottage down the hill. By that time, Mom had me dragged out, and this much of my sweatshirt wasn't wet from here up, but both our fishing poles and my glasses were on the bottom of the lake, and Dad had to fish them out with a Clio reel. But I really did outcast her.
He's a good person. He could do just about anything.
He can.
He can, I know. He was a good father. He is a good father.
Okay, how about some personality traits? Or what do you admire or do you think that you've learned from Dad?
Things I learned from Dad. How to get the job done, I guess, and whether you like it or not, to do it and finish it. One of the first experiences working on cars was, I think it was Tom who changed the oil and filled the engine with oil, and we had to pull it apart in the garage when I was just a little kid. And, that was my first engine experience, but there were a lot of experiences that way where now it's just something that I know how to do, and same with building. And
I have good traits from both of them. Pop probably gave me all my handy skills where I can just about, if I take my time, I can just about fix anything I want.
When I think about what I've learned from Dad or what traits I admire the most about him, definitely top of the list is his work ethic. I tell people all the time that how hard my dad works. I feel like, I remember ever since I was little, Dad would work all day and then he'd go to the orchard to work. And even now, you know, that orchard is so much work, and Dad puts in the time, Mom puts in the time. They're not afraid to work hard, and I just feel so grateful because really they're not working for them anymore, they're working for us, which is, we should be very thankful for that. We're lucky that we have two parents that just work that hard and work that hard happily. Like, they love what they're doing. Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes they hate it, but they just keep doing it. Like, they're a great example that way, that no matter how hard something is, that you gotta look bigger and you have to look longer to see the end result and the reward. So the thing I admire most about Dad, I guess, would be his work ethic. I also love his sense of humor. He makes me laugh all the time. He's always telling jokes, singing funny songs, just being goofy. He knows how to laugh, and laughing is really important. Laughter is important. And when I think about the last thing that I love most about Dad, is that he's kind of getting to be a softie in these older years. I think it started when he started crying about the sheep article on Reader's Digest. And just a lot of times now I'll be sitting there and I'll be talking to him and he kind of gets choked up and starts to cry, telling a story. And I like seeing that softer side of him. I appreciate that softer side of him. And I'm very thankful for that.
Them, and I had those big mitts, and holy man, if he grabbed your leg, holy man, watch out, you were going to be in the... And I do it to my kids constantly. You can ask Lindsay, she still hates it. I still do it to her to this day. And all the kind of stuff. I mean, he dragged plastic out and put a plastic slide down to the creek and ran a hose on it so we could all... We had slippery slides before they were ever invented.
Very cool. As far as Dad, well, I spent a lot of my early years going with him to fast pitch softball games where I got to watch a good ball player. That was a highlight for a lot of years. Jeez, played a long time. He was very good at it. Always watch him pitch. Hope he did a home run. He did a lot of that. So it was cool, and well, it's always continued, whether it's Jeep rides or gator rides or fishing or sitting around the fire pit with some drinks, some steaks.
Blinky. So one of my favorite memories of Grandpa or Dad would be when I was little. I can remember him building these fires, and they were just larger than life. Like, it seemed like the flames were touching the treetops. And he always used to sing us songs too, like Johnny Rabuck, Johnny Rabuck, Johnny Rabuck, how could you be so mean? And I think my favorite one was a laughing song because, you know, it feels like someone's laughing. So he'd go, oh, 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 oh. I have a lot of like times when he made me laugh or smile. I remember we'd go for walks up at the cabin. He would throw rocks and then yell, snake! And then we'd all like freak out, and then he'd laugh, and then we'd laugh, and we'd try to like, even at Clam Lake, I can remember trying to like go ahead of him on the trail to hide to scare him. And he probably knew that's what we were doing, but he would at least pretend to be scared. So I have a lot of good memories with Dad.
Dad's sitting at the kitchen table putting ice cream on Ritz crackers, and couldn't possibly keep up with all of us with our hands out trying to get a Ritz cracker with ice cream on. He got one once in a while, and I have carried on that trait. I do the exact same thing to my kids, and it's the exact same way.
Dad is a man's man, to say the least. I have never known and will never know someone that works harder than my father. That's probably even true now when he's 80 years old. For my entire life, he has been larger than life. When I was with Dad, there wasn't anything that couldn't be done, and there was never anything to fear. I still remember being a sophomore in high school and getting harassed every weekend by a drunk senior Jake Vanderbilt over a girl. One night, when Dad yelled downstairs to wake me up to take the phone call, he didn't hang up the phone upstairs, but rather listened in. When Jake said he was going to come over and kill me, Dad spoke up and said, "Bring it on. I'll be waiting on the front porch with the light on for you." That was the last time Jake ever called. Then beyond that, just Dad's ability to build things and make things work. While I have a professional engineering license in mechanical engineering, to this day my father would bury me in anything mechanical, with the possible exception of my specific profession.
Yes, I mean, she was everything a man could want in a woman. Everything. As our children can attest to the fact that she would do anything for the kids and nothing for herself.
Mom was always, just like she is now, very helpful. Willing to help anytime, day or night, whatever you need. And that's Mom. That's how she always is. Wouldn't change her.
My favorite trait of Mom is definitely her kindness. Mom is kind to everyone, and no matter where I go, people are always telling me, "You have such a nice mom." Her heart is so huge, and you know, it's obvious because people that barely even know her continue to come back to the orchard just because they know that she'll give her an extra 5 minutes of time and listen to her and talk to her. She just has a very giving spirit, and I can't ever think of a time when I wanted something and she instead took it and I couldn't have it. Like, it's always been Mom first. I mean, it's always been the other person first. I think that she's taught us to be generous. And I think that as her children, in order to kind of like honor that, we need to be as giving as Mom is. But boy, is that hard, because she is such a wonderful woman that she will give her time and her effort to anyone.
Well, hello again. This time I'm here to talk about my mother. Yes, for all of the sleeping my father did while he was hunting, I'm amazed we ever ate venison. But as for my mother, when it came to fishing, there is no one that taught us more than Mom. When it came to stuff happening in our lives, no one taught us more than Mom. A mother's love is a mother's love. Right. I don't have any funny stories about Mom. My favorite stories about Mom are seeing her on the fishing crate when she's fishing off the Winneconne Bridge. That's how I think of my mom all the time.
You know, we talk, Mom needs something, I try to help Mom, but when fishing with her in the paddle boat a couple of years ago, felt like I wouldn't be able to walk again. I got out of that thing. Can't wait to get to the dock. Mom's was a great listener. Opposite of our father. He's a great teller. But no matter what you do or need to talk about, she would always be an ear for you. Help you through it, which sometimes is all you need. And, I was out at the orchard one day with Raya. We went in there and get Raya an apple, a caramel apple. And Grandma gave her a caramel apple. She gave her a jar of maple syrup, and she gave her a jar of jam, I think, or pickles. And we left the orchard after a 5-minute stop, and Raya said, "That's a nice lady." So that was a good laugh, you know. And Ryan knew her for just a little while there, and she had her pegged.
As far as Mom, you've always been my confidant. You know, you're where I came when there was trouble, or I had questions, I guess. But, you know, the many breakfasts, the wonderful food, the fishing, the orchard hugs, the Indian head nickel in the garden.
Kindness, of course. How to treat people, probably. Yep, I do a lot of cooking that Mom did. Actually, I asked her about 6 years ago how to make a beef roast. And she said, "Oh, just bring it over here, I'll make it for you." And she said, "I'll make it for you." And I said, "Mom, I'm 50 years old. I'd like to learn how to make one." She still wanted to do it for me then. And one time I was gonna make pot brownies and go up to the cottage for grouse hunting, and I told Mom, "But they're always so dry." And she said, "Well, just add an extra egg, and there'll be moisture." Yeah. My mom would make a pot.
One of my favorite things about Mom is that she's like the first person that I want to tell when something good happens to me, and she's the first person that I call when something bad happens to me. I can depend on her to laugh with me, and I can also depend on her to cry with me. And I always feel like she's my biggest fan. Like if something really good happens to me, she gets like so happy that she gets tears in her eyes. And if I'm sad, the first thing "What's wrong?" she'll say. Like, I don't have to say I'm sad. It's like she hears it in the way I say hi when I call her. Definitely Mom is the reason why I love books. Like, I can remember leaving the library with just piles and piles of books, and I couldn't wait to go back. And I think that's where my love of language began.
Mom is the definition of a good person in my eyes. I'm not sure I've ever seen her be mean to anybody, even if they fully deserved it. She's patient, kind, and warm-hearted as they come. She's also living proof that money and objects do not bring you happiness in life. I think she's had 3 new cars in her life, and they've all been in the last 40 years. I think 2 of them have even been like the exact same make and model, because that's how Mom is. I don't know that she's ever had a new pair of clothes. If I had to guess, the bulk of her outfits, if not all, have come from St. Vincent's. Her love for cooking and cooking for her family. People tell me all the time that I cook with love, and there's only one person that I could have learned that from.
Another trait of Mom's that I really admire is her intelligence. I don't know how many people know this, but she was actually valedictorian, and she worked at Kimberly-Clark for a while. And I think that in her time, you know, in that time in history, right, a lot of women weren't taking jobs like that and moving away from home. But Mom was brave, and she's smart. She's so incredibly smart. And so she taught us that it's important to learn and to try to know a lot about a lot of things, and try beating her at upwards, and you'll figure out how smart she is. That woman has a vocabulary like Big Red the dictionary.
I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. You're both wonderful people, greatest people I've ever known. Right, raised good kids, good family. Right, still care for everybody. We're very blessed to have you as parents.
They were great parents. Kicked us when we needed it, and I think we all turned out all right. And they're very generous people, obviously. We all know that. They're not too worried about themselves ever.
a lot of fond memories. You start thinking about it. Holy mackerel. So, love you too. I've always just tried to be like you. So, happy anniversary.
Final thoughts. When I think back on my childhood and my life, the parents that I have, I am incredibly grateful. I could not have asked for a better set of parents. I feel like I was taught what I needed to be successful in life. I was taught to work hard, to laugh at myself, to learn everything that I could, and to just be kind to the people in the world with me, and no matter what, to just keep going, keep pushing. I feel so lucky that I was taught just the basics of being a good person and how to get through life and how to work hard to get the things you want. I am incredibly grateful, and I could not have asked for a better childhood. Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. I love you so much.
I guess I'm thankful for everything, I guess. Everything I do is probably what they taught me. That's the way it is. Let's hope that's the way my kids are too. Take the best of what I got and make it better, just like I did. Take the best and make it just better if you can, you know. That's what life's all about.
Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Love you.
Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. I love you, and I love spending time with you.
Well, hello, Mom and Dad. Just wanted to say happy anniversary and that I love you.
All right. Last thing I gotta say, I traveled a long distance just to say this, but that is happy 60th anniversary, you two. I just can't imagine 60 years together, but I'm sure you two can. It's wonderful to see the love between you two yet. All right. Bye, everybody.
What do I love the most about them? I love that you guys didn't believe in birth control and we're still having kids in your mid-40s. Otherwise, I literally wouldn't be sitting here making this video right now. And while I may not be your only mistake, I'll always be the biggest. And I love that you guys come and visit me and my family, even though we live 2,000 miles away in California. It means the world to me. It means the world to my girls. And last but not least, I love you guys. Thanks for guiding me throughout my life, but also sitting back and letting me be me. I hope when Kennedy and Brindley think back to their childhood, it's with the same love, admiration, and thankfulness that I have when I think back to mine. Love you guys.
Look so sad. I know it's over. Time goes on. This whole world keep on turning. Let's just be glad we had some time to spend together. When I get older, losing my hair, many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine, birthday greetings, a bottle of wine? If I've been out to 2:45, you can relate to that right there. Would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 60? When I get older and lost all my hair, not losing, lost. Many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine, birthday greetings, bottle at the bra? If I've been out a 2:45, maybe later, Dad, once in a while, you never know. Would you lock the door?
Like me.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 84? Running that orchard sure can be a pain. Huh? Never know if you get hail or rain. Doing the garden, digging the weeds. Who could ask for more? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 84? That's a good verse he wrote in there. Okay, what else? I could be handy mending a fuse when your lights have gone. You can knit a sweater by the fireside. I used to have that sweater you knit for Dad. Yeah, whatever happened to it. Sunday morning, go for a ride, doing the garden.